Welcome to the Gorgeous Gray podcast. I am Nicole Scott, your host, registered holistic nutritionist, rest mindset coach, author of the Gorgeous Gray movement, and the co-creator of the Menopause Reset program. In this podcast, we have real conversations about aging as a woman and all the pressure and uncertainty we feel as we head into menopause and beyond. Let's face it, aging is not an easy conversation to have, but I say it's time to talk about the messy middle and offer hope when we feel like giving up on ourselves. Let's talk about our fears around gray hair, our muffin tops, and even our dry, itchy vaginas and everything in between. I will help you reconnect to your feminine energy and offer real solutions from experts in their field to navigate aging as a woman. I believe we, as women, deserve to shine even brighter in this next chapter of life. So with a sense of humor and a lot of compassion, let's dive into these vulnerable conversations. Georgia is in the house. Hi, Georgia.
Hello, hello.
I'm going to introduce you to our amazing audience of women that are wanting more inspiration around aging. So Georgia was born in Greece, 1975, so you can figure out her age. She's like, don't even go there, right?
No.
Oh,
I was actually born in 1969.
Oh my God, do you know that it says that on your profile?
On my profile where?
Yeah, I was like stalking you on Instagram. And it
No,
said, 1975, born in Greece, but that's okay.
that is so weird because it was IMDb that decided I was born in 1975. And
I see. Maybe the character.
No. I have no idea why. And I wrote in and said, no, I am Georgia Zaris and I'm actually born in 1969, and they didn't believe me.
Okay, so I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm glad, and I'm not editing this, this is us being imperfect. So, in the world of social media, it says she was born in 75, but she's correcting herself and owning her age, which is
1969. So I'm 53 right now.
There you go, ladies, right? I love it. So you guys, if you don't know who Georgia is, you can follow her on Instagram. I've been following her for a number of years when I found her profile. When I found you, Georgia, you were at about 10,000 followers. And then you and I got introduced, and then you bought my book. And then I remember you doing that naked pose on social media, and you got a lot of positive and you got some haters. I remember the haters, remember?
A lot of haters. And it was surprisingly women.
Yeah. Why do you think that? So here's let's go into this conversation. So a lot of haters. She posed naked in a very classy way. She tried to match my model pose, which was really hard to get into for my cover. Why do you think you got so many haters to show about self-love? Because really that was the image of owning the level of nakedness that happens when we age as a woman, to love our body, every size. And that was really the message, but a lot of haters. I got haters. I got lots of haters too. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And who were your haters?
Well, if you remember about 3 years ago, there was the whole movement of what was it called? The we or the me movement, or Me Too.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of people saying this is just a wrong time to be posting naked when this Me Too movement was going on. So there was a lot of backslash of just, I guess exposing myself as being, naked, but I just didn't think they understood what the message was, and that was okay. So I didn't take it in any wrong way. I just if they understood what the book message was about, they would understand about it. So I didn't take it personally. But how about you? You were pretty new on Instagram. You had 10,000 followers. You're living in the UK, which is, I don't know, is it more conservative over the English kind of way? Because I thought it was a little bit more open.
No, I don't think it is. And a lot of my followers are from everywhere. So they're not only from the UK. It was a lot of women who are older and maybe bigger in size than me, thinking that I was making them feel bad about themselves. And all I can show is myself, and this is who I am.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to offend anybody.
Yeah.
It was really because we had done that interview, and I had your book, and I just wanted to recreate your message and your pose. It wasn't look at me, I'm a size whatever I am and you're not. It wasn't anything about that. But it really, I didn't take it down. I thought, I'm not going to apologize, because I'm not doing it with any ill intent.
Yeah.
And back to your thing about the Me Too thing, the whole point of Me Too is that we can be any way we want to be without having these people take advantage of us.
Right.
And so you posing like that actually is empowering. It's not taking women back 100 years or any of that.
Yeah.
So but it was my first, I think it was my first foray into trolls.
Right. And then, and now you're at 120,000. You've created this movement. If you follow her, I recommend you do. It's about, I mean, you're the cheerleader, you're positive vibe. I was just telling you earlier, I love waking up, and you're one of the first people I go to make like the laugh, the giggle of the day, right? Like how, I would say it like, how do you start your day? Just follow Georgia and get some giggles in. Because I just love how you speed up things, and you find the right saying, and you relate it back to a way of thinking. You really make people think, and I like that about you. You throw out questions, and this whole episode really is about the process of really your story of aging as a woman, and obviously embracing this beautiful gray hair movement, silver hair, whatever we call it, right? Silver, gray, white. I mean, the thing about this movement is it's like 50 shades of whatever you want it to be, right? Well, let's dive in a little bit about your story of that journey of aging. Let's start with, when you started to notice yourself aging. What did that mean to you, and where was your mindset going when you started to see some things that were changing in your body?
Oh gosh, so I've never really thought about the aging process. However, I was an actress,
Mhm.
and when you're an actress, you look at yourself a little and criticize yourself, I think, a little more than the everyday person, because when you go for a casting, you're not playing you or your age. You are playing the age of the character,
Mhm.
and so you're forever pretending to be something else.
Right.
And that whole thing at the beginning about I was that my age says that it's 1975. I remember my agent at the time. I was being courted by an American agent, and she said, under no circumstances are they to know your real age. And I just found that a bit strange, because I thought, well, does it really matter? Because I look good for my age and I can play different ages.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I thought, am I enough at this age?
Yeah.
And so anyway, what happened was I still felt young, because I think it's age is about how old you feel rather than how old you look. And then I got cancer, and that was aging, because the things that I could do before,
Mhm.
I could no longer do. And for me, it was that brokenness, that
Mhm.
kind of, how would I describe it? When you have like a car,
Mhm.
and the car ages and it doesn't run as well as it did,
Mhm.
and then it gets rust.
Mhm.
Now you can either let it rust to the point of no return, where you have to discard it, or you have to polish that rust.
Mhm.
And even though it's still there, it's you fix it as well as you can,
Right.
because this car is precious to you. And that's the way I look at aging.
Yeah.
We're gonna age. That's life. Everything in this world ages. I'm a Buddhist, and we believe in impermanence. Everything, nothing, I should say, is permanent in this
Right.
world. Nothing. And so knowing that we're all in decay, you then accept and you don't fear it.
Right.
And so, like this car analogy, yeah, my car is getting older and I am getting older, but we are so lucky because there are things to keep us young. There are, there are people that can help us, in terms of people that, that tell us about how important exercise and movement are. And there are doctors and technology and plants and medicine and all this thing to help us live a little bit longer, a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so it's about that, and appreciating this vehicle that you have, because it's the only one you have.
It's so true. When I was looking up some statistics, so it was like when you go back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, women didn't even live to experience menopause. And then when they started to live a bit older, when menopause was around, they termed it a disease.
Yes.
Women had disease of menopause. And now we're in this century where we're like, menopause, rock on. This is only midway for us. And, the oldest woman on record in the US is 116, or was 116 years old. And so when you think that on average, menopause, when our period stops, where in the old days they thought we were over, that was it, we were done, we were not useful anymore into society, to now thinking that, here we are today, we stop our period and then we do the happy dance and we celebrate our menopause anniversary. And then the mindset is we have the opportunity to live another 50 plus years without a period. And what does that mean? What does that look like? And so let's talk about that. So, you've got another 50 plus years ahead of you without, your period. How are you taking care of yourself as you're aging? What are your secrets in life that you're looking so good, you're happy, you show up on Instagram with all this inspiration, and you were inspiring so many, what are you doing to kind of keep your mojo?
Okay, firstly, I want to say this thing about, we used to look at, menopause as the end. I like to see it as in menopause is the beginning, because up until menopause, we are looking after other people and other things. But normally menopause starts to hit in your 50s, let's say. Well, this is when you can concentrate on yourself, and this is when you can put yourself first. And that's the way I like to look at it, so that it's exciting the next 50 years or however long we have, because nobody knows, is going to be exciting, because we've done all of the other stuff. And now we're pausing, we've still got that life, but we've got this bit of our life, and that is, so we've paused that and we start that. And if you look at it like that, you kind of think, oh my gosh. And the great thing about menopause for me is the wisdom. It's this wisdom that you get. I don't know whether it's because you accept. When you accept how things are, you learn something. And you develop this kind of knowing. And that's all it is. I think it's a knowing. It's a knowing that I know my time is limited. So I'm not going to not appreciate every second of it. And that's where my excitement comes from, and my enthusiasm for life. And I mean, right now I've got a knee issue, I've got a back issue, I've got a foot issue, I've got boob issues, I've got lines issues. Who cares? I'm like, but that's okay, because look at all the other stuff that's going to happen, and look at all the things I can do. Because they're the paused bit, they're all looking after themselves now. I've done that job. And now it's about me. So when you look at it like that, how can it not be exciting?
Oh yeah, so great. I love what you said about that that we're pausing, but then we're going, it's almost like a different track now, right? Like you said, the kids are moving on, and you've got hopefully more money to play in the world, and you've saved for, the travel, the adventure, that like, hey, I'm ready to, take on dancing. I'm ready to, maybe buy your vacation property, and all of that stuff is so exciting. I was sitting beside a lady yesterday. I was flying back from Calgary to Toronto, and she was 61, and she was growing out her hair. So of course we always have to have the conversation, because you're sitting there and you're getting the look up and down, up and down. You're like, okay, I better turn my head and smile and see what she wants to talk about. But it was so beautiful to have a conversation just kind of about what we're talking about. She's 61 and retired, and she was just coming back from a race, a 10K race in the mountains. And she goes, I'm part of this running group. But she said, the funny thing is, we've been together for 20 years as a group in Toronto, been runners. We used to do full marathons and then half marathons. But now we've decided with our bodies is we like walking. Now we're a walking group. We're not a running group anymore. We're a walking group. And so we do these races and we walk. But sometimes we walk faster than the runners, because the runners end up injuring themselves or pushing themselves too much. So we oftentimes finish the race as walkers faster than the runners. And I love how she and her team of, health people her age are adjusting.
Yeah.
Are adjusting. So just like you're saying, you are adjusting, right? So let's talk about boobs for a bit. Boobs. Let's talk about boobies. Let's talk about what you're doing and why about your boobies.
Okay, so I have breast implants. I got my breast implants 26 years ago. And back then they had told me that if they're okay, I can keep them in forever.
Okay.
And that's not the case. The new government recommendation, is that you should replace your implants, whether there's anything wrong with them or not, every 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So anyway, but I didn't think I had a problem. I got them because I was self-conscious. I was an A cup, and I wanted to feel more womanly, I thought. And so I put them in, and I had a great time with them. No complaints. And then a few Silver Sisters actually on Instagram had removed their implants, and they were talking about this thing called breast implant illness. And when I don't know how to pronounce her name, Nelech, or what, my name is Nelech, is her handle. She was the first one, and I had told her that I had implants, but I don't have a problem with mine, I said. And then we had started having conversations about them. And it wasn't until the other two had them out that I started thinking, well, what if some of the symptoms that I am experiencing isn't menopause, and it is the implants? And for example, I was getting a lot of headaches. I went to the doctor. He said, oh, it's menopause. I have really severe dry eye, which my eyes water, and then they go red and quite sore. I went to 2 ophthalmologists, and they said menopause. I'm now getting aches in joints, and I do yoga every day, and I eat well, and and I move, do all different things. And that's menopause. So everything's blamed on menopause, even my cancer, which is a rare cancer, and I'm the only one to have had it where I had it, and I'm part of the research now. What if?
Right.
And so whenever in my mind, if there is doubt, there is no doubt. So I've had them for 26 years, and so I saw some surgeons and have decided it's time to get them out. I mean, it's time to get them out anyway, whether I replace them or not. But I've decided I'm not going to replace them. I'm going to be part of the itty bitty committee.
I love that. And I'm sure you're going to share that all over social media to
Oh, yeah.
the journey and all of that stuff, which is incredible. I know 3 women personally, and then top of that, like the Silver Sister community, of how their life changed after the fact they took them out, and had no idea that the symptoms that they were experiencing were related to their breast until they got them out. Like they were suspecting, just like you, the what if, and then got them out. And it was almost like they said their body was healing right in front of them. And
Yeah.
so I've heard those stories from personal friends. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you. And I think this podcast and this message will be very good for women to just ask the question, what if? My one friend who has had hers, she's like, I don't think it's a problem, and they're good. And for some, absolutely, it's like anything, it's either going to work for you or your body might not respond to it, right? It's almost like hormone therapy. For some women, it's really good and beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And for others, there's a risk of taking it based on our genetics and based on the way that we process hormones. And that's another thing that women are not aware of that, right? And so that's why it's so important. And I'm going to just throw this out here as women, if you're listening to this podcast, is before you go on hormone therapy, make sure that you work with, I'm going to say, yes, the medical team, but also a holistic team. Holistic team can do a test called the Dutch hormone panel. It's a urine test. And in that urine test, what they can do is they actually can see how you as a woman process your hormones. And I wish that every woman would know this. Unfortunately, our medical system isn't set up like that, but it's every woman should know. So for me, years ago, when I got my first Dutch hormone panel, guess what? I detoxed my estrogen on the most dangerous path, which is I'm at high risk of cancer. This was one of the reasons why, Georgia, that I decided to stop dyeing my hair as well, too, because I found out that every single toxin that goes into my body likes to just keep in my fat cells, and I don't detox. I'm a horrible detoxer, and I recycle my estrogen based on my genetics.
What? So you learned this all from this Dutch test?
Dutch hormone, and I'll send you some information for
Oh my
sure.
God.
And I'm going to be interviewing other experts that work with this test every single day, and they can do some deep diving. I've actually got one of my favorite, Jen Pike, who's a hormone specialist, is going to be talking about the Dutch hormone. So it's out of the US, out of California, but you can find a practitioner to be able to send your urine to the company. That's where mine went. My urine, my dry urine got shipped all the way to California. I would hate to be the scientist. God bless the scientists that have to smell and
I know.
and
Oh,
study
God.
urine all day. But I'm going to say you are the heroes that are helping us women figure out our hormones. So thank you, scientists and researchers. We love you so much. So anyways, I just wanted to share that because it's important to know this before we get on any type of hormone. So I made sure that I could go on some bioidentical hormones to help with some of my symptoms.
Mhm.
And I was okay to go on a little bit. So we're just monitoring it and making sure that I continue to do it in a safe way based on my DNA and
But
my urine.
this is an interesting topic, actually, Nicole, because, you know, I used to think that HRT was a one size fits all thing.
Mhm.
And I never understood how, when they test your hormones
Mhm.
when you're still menstruating, you have to go on, like, say, day 4 or day
Mhm.
21 or whatever it is. It was so long ago. um, and so I was thinking, well, each person is different because not everyone has a 28-day cycle,
Yeah.
so it can't be one size fits all.
Yep.
And so, and in my case, because I had cancer, now this cancer they don't know anything about,
Mm.
but because I had it in my gynecological area, they said no, 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 it's a hormone receptor. Because it was on your cervix and your vaginal wall, you cannot have HRT under any circumstances. And that
Mm.
was it. Yet the things that I experienced, the feelings, the symptoms of menopause were so bad that I didn't want to get out of bed.
Right.
I was so depressed. I don't like to throw the word suicidal because I just, you know, I don't want to, but I was so
Mm.
low at one point that I thought, what's the point? If I
Right.
wasn't here, it wouldn't matter. And if
Yeah.
this is how I have to live my life, this isn't
Mm.
a quality.
Right.
And so, and I remember wanting to call my doctor and say, I don't care if the cancer comes back. I
Mm.
want to take it because I'm of no use to anyone, even
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And so originally, initially, my GP gave me antidepressants, which
Mhm.
is another topic,
Yeah.
another subject
Mhm.
we were going to
Yeah.
talk about,
Yes.
and they did work.
Mhm.
And then I came off them, and I was fine for a while, and then everything came again. And so what
Mhm.
I did was I was like, this is there's got to be another answer. I wish
Yeah.
I had spoken to you back then,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
find out all about these kind of
Yeah.
tests. So I found an oncologist, a gynecological oncologist, who treats each cancer patient as an individual rather than as a, oh, you've had it on your cervix, it's this
Mhm.
cancer.
Mhm.
So and he called my oncologist and the professor, who were all working on my this rare cancer,
Yeah.
and then they came to the conclusion that they don't know anything about this cancer, and so therefore maybe it is okay to go on estrogen, because I don't have a uterus
Mhm.
anymore, so all I
Mhm.
need is estrogen.
Mhm.
And so I was given the patch, and I'm back to myself.
Mm.
And so, and I'm thinking, all of that time that I suffered was because they didn't treat me like an individual. They treated me as
Yeah.
a case
Yeah.
and put me in a box. And you know, which is exactly like, I mean, this test that you're talking about, how
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like, so there would be a couple tests that I would recommend women to take. And I will definitely get this information out there more and get it out on Instagram. So the first one is getting your advanced DNA testing done, not for ancestry and stuff like that. That's a whole other ballgame. This is like your DNA, right? Saliva done. So there is definitely a company out in Toronto called the DNA Company. Dr. Mansour, who is the head of the company and the brains behind this type of testing, is ranked number 3 in the world for geneticists. So he is brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. And so it doesn't take much to literally get the kit sent to your doorstep anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
And then you send it back, and within a month or so you get your report, and then you actually get onto Zoom and you get a reading with an expert that understand what the heck does this mean, because it can go over your head, right? Even for me, I know some, but I was like, I need some help. And I actually recorded it. I actually had him read my report, and I was taking notes and circling stuff, and some of the stuff was clicking for me. It's amazing how we can be tuned into our body, because a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I'm like, oh, I already knew that, or oh, I already knew that, or because it was like, yeah, I'm not really good on alcohol. I knew that as a teenager, because I would be the one that would have 2 drinks and be hungover for 2 days. And my friends would say, oh, you're such a wimp, you're a this, you're a that, because I could never hold my alcohol. Well, my DNA showed me exactly why, because I don't have the enzymes to break down alcohol. I don't have the pathways. Same with dairy. I've never been great on dairy. I would do dairy, and the next day I would get like mucusy, and congested and, gassy, bloated, whatever. My DNA was showing that to me. But it was kind of cool that I was knowing all of this stuff as a younger person and being tuned into it. And I wish I would have had this a lot younger, but now I had it, and it was confirming my validation that I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't just in my mind, or oh, I wasn't just, being that person at the restaurant to say, oh, can you make it but without dairy, please? Because
Yeah.
I'll clear the room after. Now I knew my genetics was the real deal. So that's the first test to really understand. And you can get one specifically for hormones. And then the second test would be the Dutch hormone test,
Yeah.
which is urine based. So those are kind of 2 new tests, I would say, that have come out in the last 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
So anything in medicine that comes out within 20 years is new, it's fresh, and it hasn't hit the medical world yet. They haven't been taught it. Nobody's teaching it to our doctors. And so it comes into the form of like naturopathic medicine, functional medicine practitioners, My medical doctor, who's a hormone doctor, she's female. She is always updating her education. So thank goodness in the conferences that she goes to, she knew about both of them, and she knows how to read them. So it was so refreshing to find a medical doctor that knows what I'm talking about. And she's like, oh yeah, like I know how to read it. I know how to understand it. And so it's trying to find those doctors or
Mm-hmm.
practitioners that know the latest, right? To
Yeah.
put our hands in people that keep on upgrading their skill set. So there's a question for you women when you're working with your doctors. When's the last time you took a course? When's the last time you updated your skill set? When's the last time you've been to a conference to understand the latest, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because don't you want to be working with the
Oh, yeah.
best and upgrading, because things change all the time in medicine.
But also, I also believe in listening to your body as well,
Yes.
because one, our bodies don't lie, and I think since the cancer, I have learned to listen, and so if something doesn't feel right,
Mhm.
I will always l- research it, then try and see somebody about it. Oh, sorry, I got, oh gosh, now I've lost you. Are you still there?
It's okay. You're still being recorded. We still see your beautiful
Oh,
face.
you do? I can't
Yep.
see you because I've had to. Oh, right,
You
I'm so
hear
sorry.
something. That's okay. That's all about technology, right?
And then what do I do?
You're like, it's okay.
Am I here? Am I here?
You are here. I
Oh,
can
there I
see
am.
you.
Hello.
Hello.
The amount of times that that people that I know haven't listened to a little ache and pain and have then gotten something bigger, and they could have avoided it if they had listened to their body. I think we kind of learn to push things aside. Um,
Yeah.
and so if only we could not do that anymore, we
Right.
can save ourselves a lot of money and a lot of pain,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, but I mean, I'm all for anything new and understanding things. I'm not a skeptic. I'm right in. I'm like, well, I'm going to try that. Why not? If
Yeah.
I can, why shouldn't I try it? Maybe I won't ever get an answer. It's the same when I might take these out
Hmm.
and I still have all these problems,
Hmm.
but I won't know until I try.
Right, exactly. And that's almost like the journey of going gray too. It's almost like an analogy to life. Like we will never know unless we try. And that's I think the message that you keep on sharing on social media is, but what if? And it's what if in all areas of your life, not just the gray hair, but just like you said with your breasts. So we're gonna be cheering you on and behind the scenes, really seeing all the results and how, if truly, removing them will better your health. So I'm praying for you on a speedy recovery, because it is a pretty big operation in a recovery. I've had a few friends go through it, right? It's going to be some downtime for you.
Well, yeah, 6 weeks they say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of ready for the next. It's so weird because my husband, he hasn't known me without
Right.
them. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you are so lucky. You're meeting a new girl. You're going to meet a new person, a new persona. You know,
Yep.
so I mean, it's time. It's
Yeah.
time, and I welcome it. I welcome
I,
anything.
I know you do. That's what I love about you. Do you want to just touch on a little bit more on the mental health piece of it and give any advice or hope? Like I know that you had just touched on it a little bit, that you were using some medication in that those times to kind of help you get out of bed. I think this is a good conversation because when we talked about it last time, there definitely is some shame around, oh my gosh, I'm not going to tell anybody. There's we want to do it as naturally as possible, and there's a shame around medication. And maybe we can just kind of clear the air and give
Sure.
women permission to have a conversation about this without the shame and the embarrassment.
Yeah. Well, one, I'm not a doctor, so you always seek your doctor's advice.
Always, yes.
For me, I was always like an upbeat, happy person. But
Yeah,
what people didn't know was when I was down, I would lock myself away and not see people.
right.
And I would always use the excuse like, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. I was busy in bed. not being able to get out of bed, and only a few knew that side. So when I went and my doctor suggested an antidepressant, my thought on antidepressants were, I'm going to be a zombie, and that it just means, people will judge me and they'll say that it's all fake, all my happiness is fake because I'm depressed now, or whatever it was. And I remember saying, I don't want an antidepressant. But then he educated me about antidepressants. There isn't, one type. And the way he described, or the way I understood it, was that, you have the antipsychotic antidepressants, which are more for people who have a chemical imbalance, that who, through whether it's hereditary or whatever. And there's another antidepressant called an SSRI, which is the antidepressant that I took, very 5 milligrams, so a very small dose. And what it does is, the way he explained it for the stupid people like me who don't understand all the medical jargon, is that all that's missing is that little signal going from this part of the brain to that part of the brain, and all it is doing is that it's like a little carrier pigeon that's taking it there. And I thought, wow, but am I going to be a zombie? And he said, no. And nor are you going to feel, oh, you're just going to feel normal. It's going to take the edge off. And that's exactly what it did. It made me kind of exhale. I felt like I didn't have this heaviness on my chest that I did when I would wake up, when I felt my lowest. And that's all it did. It just let me breathe, and I can continue on. And then over time I thought, I'm going to try without it. And it continued, because now that homing pigeon, it already knew the way. So it's just about, it's about knowing the way. So and that's why I don't have a problem with antidepressants like I did. And but I did. And I wish we could change the feeling about them for ourselves. It's again, it goes back to the gray. I mean, you're ashamed, you hide it. You're ashamed, you take it in secret. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. I remember when I was going through menopause, and you had some HRT people saying, wow, and you go to your doctor and they say, here's an antidepressant. And you're like, I'm not depressed. I've got menopause or whatever. And it's like, well, but you are depressed. And if you can't take the other thing, take whatever you can get.
Right.
So that's my take on it.
Well, thank you. And I think that message will definitely land to a lot of women that maybe have been resisting it, or they've done everything. I mean, of course, for myself, I'm all about, let's try a few things first before just running to the doctor, right? Let's look at the tests. Let's find out maybe where you're deficient. Let's see what your gut health is. Let's see your hormone pathways. And if we try a few things and you're willing to, and it's almost like, if you can, because some women, with the pressure of life, if I say I need you to do all these things and they say, right now I can't commit to this and I can't commit to that, I'm just not ready for it, right, in my life based on what's on. And then it might be a Band-Aid solution for a little bit, and that's okay, right? We're giving women permission to have that Band-Aid solution. I have somebody very close to me that for a couple of years through the pandemic needed to do exactly what you did. And very holistic person. It got her through a very tough time. Just coming off it now, because she knows she doesn't want to be on it forever. That now she has some new skill set and a little bit more awareness, and things are starting to settle for her. So, I love this conversation about just holding place and compassion and having this vulnerable conversation. As you guys know, I'm not a medical doctor. Georgia's not a medical doctor. This is something that you are definitely going to have a conversation with your health professional on. Okay, so as we wrap this conversation up, because I could talk to you for hours, but this is a really big conversation about looking back to your younger self. Your younger self that insecure self, maybe that unknown self of what the future holds. If you were to go back in time to your younger self about aging or the process of aging or taking better care of yourself, whatever that might be, what would that conversation look like today?
I would say to her, me, don't rush it. Don't wish your life away, because when you get to that point near the end, you'll wish that you appreciated what you had, and enjoy every stage of what you're going through. And it's not going to last forever, because nothing does.
Mm,
And that's it. That's what I'd say to her. It's okay. It'll be okay.
I love that. And so, what is on your plan for the next few years that you're most excited about, going on to your new journey? Any big trips, anything that you're writing in your journal that you're planning in regards to dreams or adventures that you get excited about when you think of your new path, your new way?
Yeah, well, I live in the moment. Obviously, we have things that are planned, but as we know with plans, with the pandemic, they can change. So we do have a few holidays and stuff booked, but I truly live for this moment. I've recently undertaken a couple of new projects, um, which I can't talk about right now,
Okay. Okay. This is good. Yeah.
that are coming out, which are scaring me to death, because they're both completely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, why not? Why not? I like to think what if and why not. There's a lot of whys I like to think about, but seriously, this moment is all we have, Nicole, and I'm appreciating that. And tomorrow, I'll think about that tomorrow.
I love it. So I think our message from Georgia today is about enjoy the moment, embrace, and ask questions. What if, right? What if and why not?
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, everyone. And Georgia, you're just incredible. And I'm so grateful that we finally got the two of us on this podcast that is going to go out to many women that need to hear your message today. You're awesome.
Oh,
Keep
I'm so
shining.
happy, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do, and keep shining your light. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, dear. I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If this message landed for you, make sure to leave a review and tag me, Nicole Scott at Gorgeous Gray Movement, and make sure to share with your friends. You can head over to my free Facebook community, Gorgeous Gray Movement, or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring interviews. If you are still struggling and need additional support, you can take a look at my website, nicolescott.ca, and learn more about my new Menopause Reset program that I'm so excited for. Until next time, ladies, be well and own your sparkle.